There are only 6 more Fridays until Halloween Horror Nights 2025 officially kicks off here at Universal Orlando. So we're back at the park today to check up on all that's new, some construction updates over the last week. We've gotten all of the Scare Zone announcements, as well as a couple of things that people maybe weren't expecting. So we're gonna head inside the park and show you guys everything that's new this week as we lead up to HHN. And holy moly, it is hot today. The temperature is 94 degrees. Says the real feel is 98. There's actually a heat advisory, which I find funny because every day in the summer is super duper hot. So we're over here in Hollywood now, but before we start doing any construction updates, let's take a step back and talk about all of the scare zones that were announced for 2025. They did another spooky week where they announced one scare zone each day. So let's look back at what they announced from Monday all the way through today, which is Friday. Okay, so first up is the Origins of Horror. Enter a decaying conservatory of twisted vines where artists carve tributes to Halloween Horror Nights 34. You'll encounter monstrous crows, gargoyles, and more. Next up on Tuesday, they announced Masquerade, Dance with Death. You're invited to a masquerade ball where bloodthirsty vampires lurk behind ornate disguises. When their masks fall, you'll become their prey. Then on Wednesday, we got the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. Travel down a spooky winding path to a mysterious home where trick-or-treaters are transformed into feral felines. Be careful or you'll be next. Next was Mutations, Toxic 20s. In a 1920s neighborhood, a BuzzCon truck with radioactive cargo crashes into a mobster getaway car, sending the city into toxic pandemonium. And then today they announced all new street experiences, one of which is Mel's Die-In Zombies, and the other one is Club Horror. And on Instagram they said, brave all new street experiences that take the horror to new heights, featuring zombie car hops, undead DJs, and more. Details coming soon. So we normally start off in Hollywood, but today I'm actually gonna start over here in New York, and this isn't HHN construction related, but just wanna call out that the entire little park in the middle that used to be the smoking section is under refurb. As I go through each of the areas where construction's happening, I'm gonna talk about the scare zone that's rumored to go in that location. This is all according to the Horror Night Nightmares spec map. So we'll start here in New York. And the scare zone that's heavily rumored to be in this area is Mutations, Toxic 20s. Obviously this is in New York. This seems like it takes place in New York. It looks like there's a gangster of some sort that's been in the key art. But yeah, this is where this scare zone is rumored to be. Now, just like the past couple of update videos, most of the updates that are happening in here are lighting related. They keep adding lighting. A lot of it looks relatively similar to what it did last week, but there's some new ones. Speaking of Mutations, Toxic 20s, Ramon tweeted, breaking news, bank heist chase causes toxic pandemonium. I've had an absolute blast working as the show director of the Scare Zone. Our character design and technical teams have some really cool stuff in store for this one. Once Universal officially announced this and they put the description of the Scare Zone out, it immediately climbed to the top of my Scare Zone hype list for one reason, and that's because BuzzCon is back. If you remember a couple years ago, they had Bugs Eaten Alive, and BuzzCon had to do with that house. They're kind of giving you I guess an origin story of BuzzCon and everything that happened and everything that happened in that house, I'm assuming started here first. So I love the tie-in to old houses. I love when HHN does that. They bring things back from the past. So I'm very excited for this one. Now, while there might not be a whole lot of exciting updates in terms of props or anything like that, there is something really interesting that's been going on over here at the arcade over the last couple of days. So the arcade has been closed, at least for the past 4 or 5 days. You can't even see inside. They have these blue tarps that are covering all the doors. So the question is, what are they doing in here? Is this HHN related or is this just a standard refurb? So the question is, what are they doing with the arcade? There's a rumor going around that this could be where the tribute store moves for this year's HHN season. It seems like it's gaining a little bit of traction. I just don't know how likely that is because the space that's in there is definitely smaller than the New York location or the Hollywood location where they normally do the tribute store. The other thing is it gonna be a Five Nights at Freddy's immersive experience? Now, Five Nights at Freddy's is definitely gonna be a house, even though it's not officially confirmed. John Murdy has confirmed it. Other people have confirmed it. It's a house. So for everyone saying they haven't said anything yet, it's just a matter of time. But will this be an add-on to that? Will there be props or anything in there? Kind of like what they did in Hollywood a few years ago? I don't know, but I kind of would be surprised if it is the tribute store, just because I don't think it's as big of a space as what they normally use. And this year is an anniversary year, so we'll just have to wait and see. Now, as always, there will be food booths on these streets, just nothing happening just yet. And honestly, other than a few new lights, not much is really going on over here back in the New York scare zone, even down Sting Alley. Nothing happening just yet. This is normally a food location of some sorts, at least it has been for the last few years, but nothing here just yet. No booths, no lights, no nothing. All right, we're making our way over towards Hollywood now, but we're gonna stop over here first at the area that was the HHN bar last year, and it has been confirmed the HHN bar is coming back. They had a panel, like an HHN panel over in the UK, and there was a whole bunch of information that came out of that panel. So throughout the course of this video, we'll kind of splice in a few of those screenshots of some of the tweets and go over it. But one of them was that the HHN bar is coming back. So since last week, they've added some lights on top of the truss over here, and then they've also put the TVs back. So these, well, the TVs aren't in there yet, but you can see the brackets for like to mount the TV. They've added a couple of planters over here, so you're gonna have one screen and then one giant truss with lights. And then as of right now, there's the same exact thing on the other side. There's gonna be another screen over here, and then you have another truss with lights. So I don't know if they're gonna be doing the exact same setup. It doesn't seem like it as the last year with like the scare actor photo ops. Looks like they're kind of moving away from that. They've also added a couple of lights from the truss structure as you enter and exit. So they got one all the way over there in one corner, and then they got the other one right over here. So directly across from the horror makeup show, they have this giant piece of truss over here. They've added lights to the top of this one. They've added lights on top of this pole as well. So there are lights everywhere. And you may be wondering, why is there so many lights over here by Mel's? Like, there's no scare zone or anything like that. Well, this year, there's gonna be a new experience that has to do with Mel's. So like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there's an all new street experience that's gonna be taking place over here by Mel's. Mel's Die-In Zombies. And if we look at the key art, you can see two zombies over here with blood splattered all over their uniforms. This one's holding up a milkshake with like a broken hand attached to it. And I'm really, really curious what they're gonna do here. They did a casting call a while ago for people who can roller skate. So I'm fully expecting like the scare actors that are over here in this zone to be roller skating. I'm also curious how expansive this is gonna be. Like, is it gonna be just in front of Mel's? Is it gonna come out like closer to like Cafe La Bamba, like this whole area? Because there's another scare zone that starts like literally feet away. And speaking of Hollywood, as we make our way into this area to check up on what's going on, this is where the rumored Masquerade Dance with Death is gonna be, at least according to the spec map. And not really much has changed week over week. You still have a couple of pieces of truss. They don't have lights added to them yet. They have added a bunch of lights to the roof lines. So again, each week we come, I feel like I see more and more lights, but as far as like major updates go, this is basically it for now. Popped over into the Five and Dime quick just to get an update on the merchandise. As far as the Terrifier shirts, looks like they're down to extra smalls and larges. I'm sure these will restock, but at this moment they only have small, extra smalls and larges. And what I think is fueling the tribute store rumors over at the arcade is because Williams of Hollywood, which is where the tribute store, when they do it over here in the Hollywood section, this entire stretch facade is used for the tribute store. It's still the pass holder and team member store. So this is still open, and I have no idea when they're gonna close it. If this was where the tribute store was gonna be, this would be closed by now. There's maybe a chance it goes in the arcade, because the New York location, they have all the Ghostbusters construction, and it's really, really tight over there. Still no word yet on what's going on with the Lagoon show. They haven't announced the Lagoon show or Nightmare Fuel just yet. My guess is we're gonna get those announcements next week. So we have almost all the houses announced. We have 8 of the 10, 9 of the 10 if you count Five Nights at Freddy's. And we have all of the scare zones. We have the couple of new bonus experiences, street things, whatever they're calling it. That's all been announced. No entertainment as far as like shows have been announced yet. So I think that's gonna be next week, along with probably another IP towards the back half. And speaking of the scare zones, technically, there's only 4 scare zones this year. There's always been 5. Now, where the 5th one would have been is probably where that Club Horror is gonna go. That's what was rumored to go in San Francisco. Again, according to the spec maps and everything you read online, it was supposed to be like some sort of a DJ dance party, which I don't really know how I feel about that, to be honest. Obviously, I'm gonna let it play out and see what it's all about, but there's 4 official scare zones, and then they have those 2 bonus things, the Mel's and then the Club Horror. Now, I will say the creative team has been adamant on how immersive this year's event's gonna be. So even though it is 4 scare zones and we are technically losing one, I think the 4 that we do have are going to be really, really good. Like, I think that front scare zone in the park has a possibility to expand into Minions. Like, those lights are up in Minions, and I went back and looked at previous videos that we've done over the last couple of years since they got away from doing a scare zone there, and there were not lights there. So something's going to be going on, whether it's just more lighting for immersion effect or if the scare zone's actually going to go that deep. If it doesn't go that deep, they've also alluded to the fact that the truss might be moved up. So like maybe it might be as soon as you kind of scan into the park, you're already going in under that truss, you're hit with that immersion. So I'm really, really confident that the 4 scare zones we do get this year are gonna be awesome, and whatever they do with Club Horror, we'll just have to see. All right, so we made it over by Animal Actors. Now you may be saying, why are you over by Animal Actors? Nothing takes place over here. Well, there are some trusses that popped up with lights. This is normally a dead area, the area between like Springfield and like what is now DreamWorks Land and everything, but there's a bunch of things that they've added here, including this massive like stage, this massive truss structure that's going to be turned into a stage. You can just see the bare bones of it right now, but this thing's pretty big. There's a platform that's over here. I'm assuming there's going to be a staircase that's added so that the scare actors can walk up. But yeah, this is huge. You can see they have trusses with lights surrounding this entire area. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of them. Normally the scare zone would just be like once you passed into Central Park right there, that would be the entrance. But this year it looks like it's expanding all out here. When we were in New York, I was saying how I love when they reference old or older HHN things and bring them to life in new ways. And that's exactly what the scare zone over here in Central Park is rumored to be. This is going to be the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. And you might be saying to yourself, I've never heard of that before. It wasn't a house, it wasn't a scare zone in the past. It was a movie poster inside of Slaughter Cinema 2 from last year's HHN. So they love to kind of find these obscure references and bring them to life down the road, and that's what they're doing for this scare zone. I'm assuming that's gonna be the Cat Lady's home, because in the key art for that, you can see there is a house that the 2 little kids are walking up to. So I'm assuming as you kind of walk through the park, it's gonna lead you to the Cat Lady's home. I don't know that for sure. I'm just assuming based on the art that they've described, and I don't really know what else this would be. And now we're inside of Central Park. This is where the scare zone historically has just been confined to. I'm just trying to see if there's anything going on. They have this random green pad of some sorts. Either something's gonna go on top of this or this is covering up something. I've never really seen any of these before. I have no idea what this is for. There is another one on the other side over here. They got another one over here. This one looks like it is like a platform of some sort. So either like props will go on there. You can see all the power that's being run, getting fed into that box. And then there's also a speaker. They hide the speakers in the bushes. They won't be this obvious once they kind of theme everything, but there's the first speaker. So here is like the front of the scare zone. You're gonna walk in this way, and then right here, so it'll be on your left, there's another one of those platforms there. So there's gonna be like props or something in the bushes over here. There's multiple green things that look just like this. Let's go back to that UK HHN media event that I spoke about a couple of minutes ago. So Darren Scott, who's the editor of SFX magazine, got to go. He tweeted out a lot of really cool info and things that they talked about at this event. So let's look at some of his tweets over the last couple of days and try to figure out what else might be coming to this event and how immersive it might be. Speaking of immersion, he said HHN 34 will be taking immersion to the next level. Fans are advised to pay attention to socials as HHN will be dropping content all this week, next week, and all through the rest of July. So it sounds like by the end of July, we'll have all of our announcements wrapped up, which means we'll be getting the shows, we'll be getting the final IP, and then we'll finally get the official word that Five Nights at Freddy's is a house, all within the next probably week and a half. As for Fallout, he said Fallout will check boxes for both gamers and show fans. You'll see the Vaults, the Bloody Wedding, Rad Roach, Gulper, T60, and a lot more. We also got some new information about the Terrifier house. It says fans of Terrifier are in for an incredible experience. The team at HHN worked very closely with Damien Leone on the house, which they say is the bloodiest and goriest house that HHN has ever done, with, quote, more water effects than in any house ever. In fact, there are so many water effects in the Terrifier house at HHN that guests will have the option of choosing a dry or wet path when exiting. Jason Universe will have multiple versions of Jason in a, quote, gauntlet of Jasons. The house is described as, quote, insidious times 10. We have some new info on El Artista, a Spanish haunting. Darren said it's a beautiful house with not one, but 3 facades. While we're talking about immersion, the team said that the reduced scare zones from last year have been thrown out the window. You're going to see more scare actors and more scenics all around the park. As soon as you cross through the turnstiles, we're sending you into the conservatory from El Artista. The truss sign will have the conservatory gates on the outside, so the truss is going to be themed. That's really cool. And that front scare zone is rumored to be the origins of horror, where there will be statue gargoyles that come to life and welcome you into the conservatory. The wingspan on the gargoyles is huge. That change to the opening truss at HHN, that sign will not be red this year. That sign will lead into that turquoise blue of the overall theming. Pros will be a part of the origin of horror scare zones, and it sounds like they're going to be very similar to the ones that they had over at Universal Hollywood. We will also feature stone statues carved by our chainsaw sculptors in the zone that feature our 5 intellectual properties. And everyone's talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. They said fans of Five Nights at Freddy's can expect announcements incoming, stressing that you're going to love the things, plural, that they are doing. All right, made our way into San Francisco. This is where the like little DJ area is supposed to be, but before we go in there, just wanted to call out the food booths are all gone for the little Amity overlay. There used to be one right over here, that is gone, and then there used to be the hot dog one that was right over there, and that's gone too. And there's definitely some updates on the truss. You can see they've added a bunch of lights to it, so really interested to see what this is. In all honesty, this is the thing that I'm probably looking forward to the least, but we'll see what they do. We got a whole bunch of lights that have been added all throughout the truss. You can see some cool like LED lights that they've added here. They've added these over the last couple of days because these were not here the last time. So directly across from the Fast and the Furious, this little stage has popped up, and this definitely looks like this would be an area where a DJ would go. So I'm assuming this is going to be like a DJ booth. These trusses are also new. They've added one on each side of what I'm calling the DJ booth. Don't know if that's definitely what it is, but that is new. And this one right here is also new. All right, so that's gonna do it for our visit out here to Universal today for this week's HHN update. A lot of things got announced. We got all of the scare zones. We're still waiting on the shows. We're still waiting on one more like official IP house, and then they officially have to say what's going on with Five Nights at Freddy's, even though we already know it's gonna be a house. I'm expecting, like I said, the shows to be announced next week. Fingers crossed we get that WWE announcement, because I need to run here and get that merch if they announce that house. But we'll be back either way to show you what's going on in between this week and next week. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a nice big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe down below so you don't miss out on all of our HHN content as we build up to the start of the season, and then of course throughout the season itself. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys real soon.